growth as even bigger drivers as we're in this age of electricity in which we're rapidly accelerating into a super cycle. From a point of view as a policymaker, how do you look at this and what do you prioritize? How do you get the rules right?
In many ways, this is such a headache era for policymakers, because this is asking, but it's also, I mean, the best opportunity ever. In truly dark and challenging times, there's so much hope connected to this. But for me, this is asking for policymakers to become truly technology neutral. We have shown again and again, and not least in the area of energy, that we love to be very ideologically driven, and sometimes putting even our faith in our own political rhetorics instead of seeing that, well, that will still be out-trumped by the basic laws of physics. So how to become truly technology neutral, and especially in terms of AI, how do you regulate and make a policy for something that is shape-shifting faster than a Pokemon? Is one thing today, is going to be a completely different thing by the time the Swedes hop around the Swedish midsummer pole singing a little frog song. And that's just in 6 months' time, hopefully, and then the Swedes will get the sun back.
I'm planning a reconvening of this session up in Sweden for this.
Exactly.
By which point we would have solved all these problems.
Hopefully, but so that's the one on technology neutrality. Because most democracies are not built for speed, we're built for stability, and the European Union for sure is built for stability. The second one is then tempo, and the third one is, because look at Sweden, we're cutting some of our permitting process by half. That's a great success, but it's still way too many years for you to get connected to the grid system. And the third and last part that I'm obsessed with is, who do you partner up with nowadays? Because I think one of the huge success stories behind Sweden's growth journey from 100 years ago, being one of the poorest countries in Europe, having 1 million of our inhabitants migrate to the US, and now being one of Europe's wealthiest countries and most interconnected first movers also on an individual level. I mean, that is because we partner up between public and private sector. We've actually managed to solve problems together, but we've also done it with other countries, and that's becoming even more challenging.
So we'll talk with some business people. That's who we have to your left in a moment. So the partnership point will surely get taken up. Let me press you just a little bit on the idea of speed. It was very impressive, the statistic you cited about accelerating and permitting. Across Europe, I know the general figure is that it takes multiple years to get new projects cited. Some of the concerns companies have is that there might be, the first to file rather than the first to actually deploy. There might be projects that aren't really substantial, they're clogging up the queue. There is traditional slowness in permitting processes. Could AI accelerate that? So a lot of questions are brewing on both sides of the Atlantic, indeed around the world, and how to speed up this process. Can you tell us what you did to be able to cut that queue? Give us a little reveal so that others can learn. But as well, more generally, this idea of increasing the metabolism, the pace of change of government, to keep up with the pace of AI or technology or society or business. How realistic is this? Well,
I would say, first of all, you have to be able to zoom out and see it speed up or die. I mean, look at the growth gap between Europe and India today, and the EU and US. The growth gap that we are seeing between the EU and India now will soon be the growth gap between EU and US and India, if we don't see that our own bureaucracy has now become our own worst enemy. So either you start seeing this as truly a matter of competitiveness, speed, and second, in these times, also a matter of security. So I truly mean it when I say it's speed up or die. And I think that is what changed things, at least in Sweden. The other one is daring, not as a policymaker, not to micromanage, to say that this is the overarching goal, and we steer towards that. And then you set time frames for when you are to reach that goal. I'm not saying we've done this enough. We still have a long way to go.
Sure.
But whenever we've applied that throughout the line, that's when we've actually managed to cut time by so much, because then everyone stops looking at each other and different levels of bureaucracy saying, that's your responsibility, that's my responsibility. You start saying that, okay, well, this is the overarching steering, and it can't be, then you have to put competitiveness and security highest up.
Okay, well, those are some good principles to lay out. I'm sure the practitioners will have experience on the hard end of the stick, but let's hear from them what the reality is. Olivier, let's come to you. Now, your company's global. You're deeply involved with energy technologies, energy efficiency. You understand grid systems. I've been to some of your facilities in Italy, for example, where you're involved with the cooling systems that go into these data centers and waterless and even better recovery systems. So you're deeply enmeshed in that